I saw the new Elvis movie yesterday, Baz Luhrmann's movie. I've been depressed for 2 days. I want to be famous so bad. I thought wristwatches would be how I'd get there, but Elvis seemed to have a better idea.
I don't understand why you're
What is up, Watch fam? It is Michael, and just Michael, again. I know, 2 times in a row, huge problem. All of you grew up watching Christian for 7 years now. Now he's gone. It's not anything. Sometimes we have really busy months where we're overbooked, so Christian has meetings while I have meetings and stuff like that. But Christian will be back. This is also a little watch talk about the Rolex Oyster Perpetual 36mm. So this is going to be a shorter, more focused video on that. But Christian will be back for the next video, and it will be a full-length live video where we're sitting down and chatting, and then we're incorporating more watch reviews onto the channel, but we're gonna keep them kind of sort of like live videos where Christian and I will both be sitting here chatting about the watch. So that could be fun. Also, is the camera angle too high today? I'm all alone. It doesn't matter. This video is also sponsored by Whatnot, and Christian and I are going live on Thursday, June 30th, 2022 at 5 p.m. and we're going to be giving away a ton of stuff on this Thursday, June 30th, 2022 at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And Whatnot is an online community marketplace where you bid on items that other people are selling live. So last time Christian and I went live, we sold an Omega Constellation, which was amazing. We gave away a ton of stuff, and we'll be doing that again soon, but more on that later. Okay, so welcome to the first review. I have no idea, we haven't done a review in a very long time of a watch. No idea what we're doing. I watched plenty of Bark and Jack and Jenny L videos to prep for this. So without further ado, we're sitting down and we're drinking coffee and talking about Rolex. Christian and I do not own this Rolex Oyster Perpetual. This is actually one of our videographer Josh's watch, and he filmed it for us. That was very nice. Anyways, this is the Rolex Oyster Perpetual 36mm with a green dial, and I double checked with Josh to make sure it was the 36mm, and he said yes, it is the 36mm, just like this watch should be. Which is the only people that say that are people like me, Josh, and Christian who have small wrists. There's also obviously a 41mm version of the Oyster Perpetual. I think if you have the correct wrist size, a 41mm Rolex Oyster Perpetual is great. If you don't, and you clearly should have gone for the 36, I think it looks messy. I don't think it looks that good, and my only annoyance with the 41mm Oyster Perpetual is that it doesn't look like they scaled, Rolex being they scaled the crown up with the rest of the watch, because obviously if you scale the crown up, it gets wider, and I don't think the watch got thicker between the two versions, so they can't make it a bigger crown. But to me, it looks like the wrong size crown on that watch. That's the only thing that annoys me, and if you have a wrist that is too small, that's kind of annoying. But anyways, starting off, if you're going to buy one of these watches at retail, you will be spending $5,800 US plus tax. If you're trying to get it secondary, it looks like they're trading for around $12,000 on the secondary market, which is crazy for an Oyster Perpetual, and the green is still continued. You can buy it from Rolex today. The ones that got discontinued this year, like the yellow Rolex Oyster Perpetual, now look like they kind of settled to like 18,000. Some are going for a little bit more, but when they initially got cut, they were trading for like $40,000, $50,000, although I'm sure no one was buying them. I even looked on eBay, and it looks like very, very few of these OPs are selling for $12,000. So if you're looking on the secondary market, I highly suggest you make an offer and you make it low. Together we can take down the Rolex overpriced selling. But if you're paying $12,000 for an OP, I'd be very careful, because I don't even want to say you're getting, on the secondary market, you're getting a fair price at all. The OP is an interesting watch because I feel like Rolex is famous for so many things, namely the Oyster case, obviously Oyster Perpetual and all that stuff, but the Oyster case, they're famous for the Oyster bracelet too, but really I feel like the Jubilee, the Cyclops over the date, and then the fluted bezel. And the OP really doesn't have any of that. It has the Oyster case, and that's about it. So the real Rolex, or the one that has all of those Rolex hallmarks, would be the Datejust, which goes for $8,000 with the fluted bezel and the Jubilee and all that. Goes for $8,750 US. So by going with the OP, you save $2,950, but you miss out on a lot of Rolex hallmarks, which is interesting because then I feel like obviously you could stylistically like the Datejust better or the OP better, but it really makes you think about, what do I want this Rolex for? Do I want to show it off more, or do I just love the way that you can get a Rolex and it's just a very well built all around watch, and it's a beautiful design. It's simple. They don't change much. It's not polished to a crazy amount, but it's polished enough. It's a chronometer. The movements are getting better and better. We'll talk about the movement in a second, but it really shows what are you after between these two watches. The Oyster Perpetual is the entry to Rolex, and I think it's fantastic entry, especially because even though there's quick set dates and everything like that now, I feel like there's something just so, I don't know if cavalier is the right word, without a date and without the fluted bezel and just with very cool, bold dials that, yes, Rolex did slash the throats of some of the cool dials that they used to sell. It makes the OP a fun watch, and for people with the bank account, the OP is like the collectible, gotta have them all, different dial color watches, because they're a lot of fun. The plum color used to be amazing. Red, yellow, green, light blue, pink. All of those are amazing, and they're so varied and they're so fun. And I feel like it being Rolex's lowest point of entry means Rolex looks at it and they're like, okay, we can mess around. It's still our Rolex DNA. We've done colored dials forever, but we can mess around, do what we want with this watch, and people will love it. People will literally collect it. Okay, we'll jump into this review. Obviously, I'll keep it kind of basic because you probably know all there is to know about Rolex anyways, but I'll toss in a few tidbits and then the video will end. So this watch obviously is made out of Rolex Oyster steel, which AKA just 904L steel. I read that Rolex has their own proprietary blend of metals to make this steel, but they don't really go very far in depth and don't differentiate it from 904L steel that much. So it is probably that steel. And if you're looking at this steel compared to like 316L steel, this takes on a higher polish. And then really the big benefit with 904L steel is that it has anti-corrosive properties similar to precious metals. So I feel like it's Rolex pushing everything a little bit closer to looking and feeling premium. Obviously steel feels like steel, but the fact that it's very corrosive resistant means that over time it's going to feel more premium and, you know, stay how it is. And that's the thing with most modern Rolexes, and Christian and I talked about this, is they stay basically exactly how they look from when you buy them. Maybe they get scratched up, obviously, but for the most part, the dial color now stays the same, the indices look the exact same, the steel doesn't corrode, so 30, 40 years down the line, you're gonna have a very similar looking watch to when you first bought it. Which, real quick side note, I've been looking at a lot of Speedmaster reviews because I really want to buy a Speedmaster. I love that Omega does not really change a thing about their watches. Obviously, the inside is getting very updated, especially with the master chronometers and everything like that. But it's just an aluminum bezel that will chip away, and it will be old, and you get it with Hesalite, so it can age like an actual vintage Omega Speedmaster would. That's a lot of fun. That makes me really excited to wear the watch every single day. But anyways, that is not even close to what we're talking about today. Rolexes don't, for the most part, age anymore. So what Christian and I talked about was that all these different dial colors will get discontinued over time and probably reintroduced after a while. But the beauty of them getting discontinued is that now, 30 years down the line, unless they get reintroduced, you will have a watch that did age, because there is no more red dial or green dial to the specific shade or something like that. They're going to reintroduce the dial, so it won't last for that long. But it is still pretty cool to think, you know, I bought the yellow OP in 2021, and they didn't release another one until 2030. Now, if we're looking at the Oyster bracelet, obviously it is, after all these years, it is very much perfected by Rolex. It's not too heavy, it's not too light, it's solid, it has deep brushing on it, so it has a bit more texture than normal. It ages beautifully. And then the Oyster clasp too, actually, beautiful. I do think modern clasps, for the most part, even on Tudor and Rolex, they feel like the bulkiest part of the watch. They're beautiful, they kind of melt into the bracelet to a degree, but to me they always feel like there's something eventually that will come along that will put them out of date. There's probably not, considering it's a clasp and that has been around forever, but I just feel like maybe it's because I wear vintage Rolex Jubilees and Oysters so much more that are essentially hollow and very like thin bent steel. These new ones feel almost like too bulky in a way. The actual bracelet doesn't, but the clasp feels very big. So this video is sponsored by Whatnot, and Whatnot is an online community marketplace where people like Christian and I can go live and talk to people that want to talk about watches, want to get free things from a giveaway, they want to bid on items that we have going currently online at Whatnot, which is a lot of fun. And really, Christian and I have done it twice now. What happens is people ask questions, Christian and I answer them, we try to joke around, we update you on things that we're doing behind the scenes. It's a ton of fun. If you want to ask anything, please do in the comments below, and we will be answering them on June 30th, 2022 at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll also, of course, be giving away a ton of things, which is going to be a ball. So I hope to see you all there. If you like Whatnot for watches, they also deal in collectibles in every area of collectibles. They have vinyls, they have Pokemon cards, they have CDs, everything and anything that you can possibly imagine Whatnot has. So please check out our link in the description. Download Whatnot, get $10 off of your first purchase, complimentary of us. But I'll see you there Thursday, June 30th, 2022 at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Can't wait. The movement of this watch is the 3230, which came out in 2020, and it was a big upgrade from the movement that was being used in OPs before this, mainly because the power reserve got juiced up. It is now up to 70 hours from 48 hours, and that, of course, is a beastly power reserve. It gives you time to take the watch off and keep it on your dresser or something like that. Otherwise, obviously, it's an automatic watch, so it's always going to be charged if you're wearing it. But that's amazing. Rolex also improved shock resistance. So all in all, Rolex obviously is always trying to get better. They're not as aggressive with their movement technology as Omega, but you're not really going to be late to a meeting because of your Rolex. So all in all, beautiful movement. I can't wait to see, like, what's interesting about so many things in watches and technology, and I guess just life, is that incrementally every year there's all these little changes that aren't really that cool, but like if you black out for a solid 10 years and then you get back to the watch world, things look crazy. So I can't wait to see what happens in 10 years. Probably in 10 years I'll still be this bitter old 36-year-old that doesn't think anything changed because I've been following the watch market for so long, but it is really cool to see the jump in technology. Obviously, I think power reserves are going to get higher, and I think cases are going to get harder to scratch. I have no idea. Either way, very excited to see what will happen. But my final two favorite things about this watch. One, I feel like this should be standard on almost every watch besides dress watches. Rolex has a screw-down crown, so they are 100 meters water resistant, and really they mean you can go 100 meters in a Rolex OP and be okay. I think they're rated to 150 meters. Obviously, you keep it to 100. They're doing that for a reason. But I love that Rolex has a screw-down crown on almost every watch. It is, to me, it's tough to get a tool watch, or most watches that could pass as a tool watch or a sports watch, without a screw-down crown. It just seems like a utility feature that is so important that even a watch like my Club Campus, for example, I love my Nomos Club Campus, does not have a screw-down crown, but it has 100 meters water resistance, and I'll swim with it for sure, 100%, and it's fine. But I wish it had a screw-down crown. And the Ahoy series from Nomos does have a screw-down crown, and then it's water resistant to 200 meters. And I think a lot of it has to do just with the screw-down crown, making everything safer. So I love that it has a screw-down crown. I love that it has 100 meters water resistance, because you can really do whatever you want with that watch at that point. I love swimming with my watches. I stick them under the water and I'm like, oh my God, babe, look, it's underwater and it's still ticking. Final thing is the OP is loomed. It uses Rolex's Chromalight loom, which glows blue. And if you're looking for a very simple, basic Rolex that can do anything you want, and I really mean anything you want, if you are debating between this and an Explorer because of the Explorer's added shock resistance, you better have some crazy reason that you need that added shock resistance, especially because the 3230 has a high-performance Paraflex shock absorber. So anyways, the OP is a fantastic entry-level Rolex watch. Please, I suggest try and get it at retail. If you're not going to, don't pay 12 grand. Pay far lower than that and haggle your way through. But fantastic watch. Thank you, Josh, for filming this B-roll. Hopefully, well, we have a very, very, very special watch on the horizon that we will be filming. I don't even think there's a video of it on YouTube. So I can't wait to do that. I will talk to you all soon.